Not every monument stands in a city. Some lie broken in the hills, half forgotten, wind-scoured, erased. But every ruin remembers, and sometimes all it takes is a pin dropped on a map. Because hidden in these scars are stories worth uncovering. What might forgotten ruins in the north of England have to say, and what can they add to our understanding of the history of this region? Only one way to find out. This is Rails and Revolutions, the history that built us and the forces that shaped us. I wasn't looking for anything special, just poking around the North Pennines on the map. And then I saw this, a strange scar in the moorland above Baybridge. Zoom in, and something's there. Lines, foundations. A ruin with no story. I think it's time to honour the past by changing that. It's time to hike high up into the moors above Baybridge to find out. The trail follows the Beldon Burn, a narrow ribbon of water threading through the hills. Today it's peaceful, but these slopes once rang with hammers, engines and grit. You won't find signs, no visitor centre. Just your boots, the wind and what's left. We've just come over the ridge, and there it is, half hidden, half standing. No signs, no fence, just broken masonry, strange pits, and walls that suggest something once stood here, something that mattered. A shape that doesn't belong to the land, and yet somehow feels part of it now. This is a place industry forgot, but we haven't. You feel it in places like this, that sense that time didn't just pass through, it pressed into the landscape and left something behind. To find out what we actually have here, I had to go digging, and not in the ground to disturb this history that is trying to speak to us would be unthinkable. Besides, it's a scheduled ancient monument. But digging in the sense of research, in old records, faded maps and lost company names. And what I uncovered paints a picture of ambition, steam and collapse. The first working of Beldon began in the late 1700s. By 1805, Easterby and Hall had sunk 2 stone-lined shafts into the hillside. One square pumping shaft reaching 50 fathoms deep beneath the great limestone, and the other a circular drainage shaft. Above these stood a steam engine house, their tool to conquer the waterlogged depths. The engine, built by Boulton and Watt, was state-of-the-art. With a 40-inch cylinder and 25-foot beam, it drove heavy pumps to keep the mine dry and ambition alive. Nearby, a water wheel fed by a purpose-built dam on Beldon Burn, operating crushers and jigging machines. That water wheel kept crushing floors alive, reducing ore to gravel. And sand for separation. Processors picked rocks by hand, then crushed them to release galena, the lead ore. They used water's power to jig the gravel, washing heavier ore into puddle pits. As Beldon rolled into the 1860s revival, Cornish miners, skilled in deep metal workings, were brought north in droves. That cultural mix brewed tension. In 1866, a riot broke out at the Miners' Arms pub. Locals saw the newcomers as threats. 8 Cornish miners were charged amid fights dubbed the Corny Row. Or Row, not sure. The struggle between communities reflected mining's broader instability. Boom, then bust, here in the North Uplands. By the 1870s, overseas competition and falling profits signalled the end. Lean ore, leaky shafts and erratic management sealed the deal. And that management wasn't just careless, it was confused. Investment came in fits and starts. One year, equipment was upgraded. The next, no maintenance at all. Owners came and went, some chasing quick profits, others lacking even basic mining knowledge. Strategic planning suffered. Cornish engineers on site often worked without proper coordination. At times, machinery sat idle while money drained away. At the worst moments, it wasn't geology that killed progress. It was decisions made far from the mine. Leadership failed in other ways too. Community tensions like the 1866 riot weren't managed. They were ignored. And record keeping was a mess. Shaft locations were lost. Workings overlapped or collapsed. It was industrial ambition without the roadmap. Minor attempts at reopening in the 1920s fizzled out. Today, the site is a scheduled monument, a rare window into 2 distinct mining eras. Beldon is a crossroads of toil and transformation, steam and sweat beneath the earth, the collision of cultures and the shifting edges between destruction and regeneration. History lives here, not in textbooks, but in stone, in soil, in the memory of a valley that still carries its story. But what does a site like this tell us about the wider story of the North East? About how communities lived, worked and struggled together across an industrial landscape that shaped more than just the economy. It shaped identity. We'll be diving deeper into that in future episodes, because ruins like Beldon don't just speak for themselves, they whisper about everything around them too. If you believe these stories matter, the ones buried in stone, in silence, in the scars of the land, help keep them alive. Like the video, share it with someone who's wandered these fells, or ever wondered what lies beneath their feet. Subscribe for more stories from the forgotten edges of the North East, the places that industry built and time nearly erased. Because heritage isn't just what we remember, it's what we choose to rediscover. And if there's a mine, a path, or a ruin you think we should explore, tell us in the comments. The story of this region isn't finished. It's still being uncovered. One site, one step, one voice at a time.